Welcome back. In this part we are finishing the refactoring of our frontend and we will then begin refactoring our backend. Well, I am planning to have another grid for a radio button and a combo box. So on start we can either detect the language automatically or set it manually to a set list. Okay, so we'll need a grid here. In grid column 1, it will have two column definitions. The first one will be of auto width and the second one is going to expand. In the first column we will have a radio button. I'll name it radio underscore default language. It will need a content such as set. I'll take it from a dynamic resource called set colon. I will align it vertically on center. I will give it a group name the same as here. And I will add left and right margin to it. In the second column I will have a combo box. I'll name it combo underscore language and let's give it a slight margin. Inside we'll have combo box items. So the first one, combo box item, it will consist of an image and here we will specify its source to be the same as here. So here. Just copy it and paste it here. And the second combo box item is going to be for German. So German. That's it for this half of the window. And in the right half of the window, let's navigate here. Yeah. Oh, here. I plan to make this one grid instead of two separate ones. So let's add grid row definitions here. I will have two of them and both of them will have their height set to auto. Then let's correct one little thing, and that is our time separators should have a style applied to them. Style static resource time separators like this, here and here and here and here. Okay, now let's remove the subtimer grid and merge it with the main timer ones. We can remove all this. Now let's give grid row 1 to lower time separators. So here and here. Now let's move this checkbox for the subtimer up. So what we need to do is first we'll cut it from here and then where should we put it? I think here. So this grid is grid row 0 and we'll put it in grid row 1. Now let's make its content dynamic. We'll access a dynamic resource here. Okay. Now let's make this button blue. So we'll add a style to it. Style static resource blue button. And as for the stop button, we'll add another style to it, image button style. And instead of height, we'll change it to max height, and we don't need this. Next, instead of a stack panel, I guess we'll use a grid here. So grid, and instead of fixed margin, we'll give it vertical alignment set to center. Let's put our grid row definitions here. We'll have two equal row definitions here. Our checkbox will be in grid row 0. Let's specify it and let's give it a dynamic content. So instead of sound selected below, we'll access a dynamic resource called sound notification. We'll add a bottom margin to it. Then we will have a grid for our sounds, our radio buttons. Whether they are enabled will be bound to the isChecked property of this checkbox. So we'll use binding is enabled, open curly brace, binding, element name is checkbox sound, and the path is enabled. So if this is enabled, these are enabled as well. we will have different sound notifications for different timers. Grid column definitions, and here 2 equal columns. Then let's put here a text block in grid column 0 and in grid row 0, and its text is going to be dynamic resource timer sound, and we will move these below. So 1, and add a group name here, so timer sounds. Let's copy this, then change 1 to 2 and add group name here as well, change to 3, and so on. Oh. And then we will put another text block here. Well, let's just copy all of these and paste here. Set grid column to 1 and type subtimer sound. So here, set grid column to 1, change the name to radio 1 sub, and we'll do the same everywhere. So grid column 1, grid column 1, grid column 1, grid column 1, and sub, 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 and sub, and we'll remove this group name here, here, and here, and here. Oh, and I guess we'll need another row definition here. Now, at the very end, we'll create a new grid here, or rather even here. It will be also in grid column 1, and we'll align it on bottom, and we'll just give it a top margin, so 0, 10, 0, 0. This is where our about and license buttons will be placed. So there will be just 2 columns, grid column definitions, column definition, and the second one, which is going to be auto. So let's move this button inside of this grid. It will be in grid column 0. Its style is going to be static resource, transparent button, and instead of text content, we will do something else. We'll put an image inside. Button content, and put an image here. Source, spec, colon, 2 forward slashes, application, colon, 3 commas, forward slash, img, forward slash, and then goes the name of our new image called info. Like this, but we'll need to limit its height to 48. And we'll put another button here in grid column 1. Its name will be button register, so that users can always buy a license key in case they want to start using the full version of the program. Its content is going to be from a dynamic resource, register, and 3 dots. Let's cut this style. It doesn't need a tooltip. Its click event will be called button register click. Press F12 to generate it and get back. Then we don't need horizontal alignment setting to right, and we don't need vertical alignment bottom, but instead what we do need is a style, but not a transparent button, and instead we'll use a blue button. Let's make its width equal to 100. It doesn't need an image, I guess. If our program is already registered, it will look like this, and if it is not, it will look like this. So now we are ready to go to our backend. Let's go to top. We'll create a new region here, or rather here, called variables, and unload. And inside we'll put this region for private members. And by the way, we need to add a new variable here for before launch sub hours. So let's copy this one, paste here, before launch sub hours. And our notify icon, let's initialize it here, equals new system windows.forms notify icon. Then let's add a new field here for a time span, which will specify actual hours, minutes, and seconds that are left. So time span time left. So I'm going to greatly simplify the process that our timer has to go through. So actual hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, Then let's rename this field from dark opacity to M dark opacity. Okay, we can collapse this region. Now we can move our constructor inside this region, and I guess we don't need to get the version anymore because we already specified in the about window. But what we do need instead is, well, we need to do some tweaks for the combo box and radio buttons, because by default some of these events fire on start. So let's create a region here called language. So first of all, combo underscore language, selected index. We will set this index based on the setting, and the setting will be saved every time we exit the program. So int settings, control dot, and hit enter to include it. So settings, default, and here default. Let's look it up. Properties, default language index. Okay, so default language index, copy paste it. Then we will set radio underscore default language is checked to bool settings default language on start. Okay, then we will check if radio detect language is checked. So if radio detect language is checked, not default language but detect language is checked equals true, then we will set language dictionary to thread, current culture, and to string. Else, if we decided to set it manually, then radio detect language is checked will be set to false, radio default language is checked will be set to true. Then we check if combo language selected index equals 0, then we set language dictionary to the culture en-us uppercase. Else we set language dictionary to de-de, and we don't have other languages, but if we did have them, we would need to make a lot of else ifs for every language. So that's it. So we can collapse this region, and let's move this method and this event and this method. We'll move all of them under the constructor here. Okay, our set language dictionary method, our myWindowLoaded event, and unlock full method. And what we if our program is registered, then we will set the visibility of this button to collapsed. Button underscore register dot visibility equals visibility collapsed. And also we will also disable a numeric for hours even in the main timer. So numeric hours is enabled equals true if we registered the program. Then after the region variables and unload, we will create a new method to fill primitives, these controls. So private void fill primitives. It will accept a timer type because we need to know what type of primitives we are going to fill. Let's give it a summary. Fill controls with actual time values, and the type is the type of a timer, controls of which are filled. Okay, so we check if type equals timer type main, then we set m hours to, this is our field, to numeric hours value. So convert to int 32 numeric hours value, semicolon, duplicate it, then m minutes and m seconds, and here numeric minutes and numeric seconds. So if we call this method, we get our actual values from these controls. Else we get these values from numeric sub hours and sub minutes and sub seconds. So we fill primitive fields like m hours, m minutes, and m seconds from controls. Then after this method, we will create another region called timer buttons. And here we will place button start and pause. and stop as well. So with these two, put them here. And now let's change this method a bit. We disable buttons when we start or pause our timer. Then we call our fill primitives method and pass timer type dot main. And instead of getting these values here again, we just access our mTimeLeft timespan and we initialize it with new timespan. And in braces, we specify hours, minutes, and seconds. So m hours, m minutes, and m seconds, and put a semicolon. And now we can remove these. Also, in addition to sub minutes and sub seconds, we again need sub hours. So sub hours, convert to int 32, and instead of TB, we'll need numeric sub hours. Okay, and change TB to numeric here as well. So here, what do we do here? Let's leave a comment here. If the main timer is not working, so here, if the subtimer is not working and not in process, here turn the main timer on. Let's simplify it like this. Here, if the subtimer is not working but in process, add a comment here, turn the subtimer on. Oh, actually, we do need braces here because we additionally have to fill primitives here. So, fill primitives, and we pass timer type dot sub. And also, we set mTimeLeft equals new timespan, and here we update our values for m hours, m minutes, and m seconds. So here we need to get them again. So m hours, m minutes, and m seconds. Else, so if the subtimer is working, we just pause the subtimer. It equals false, and here we'll put a right arrow. Okay, you can just Google right arrow character. And finally here, if the main timer is working, 3 dots. So here we pause the main timer. And again, just put this character here. Okay, let's collapse it. And this one too. So after this region, we'll create a region for ticks. So region, ticks, and region. Inside we'll move our m main timer tick and m subtimer tick. And we're going to completely change or even substitute our event. I mean this one. So we can just completely wipe it out. If m time left seconds, and you see that we operate here with the time span instead of individual values like m hours, m seconds, and so on. So m time left seconds less or equals 0, and m time left minutes equals 0, and m time left total hours equals 0. Then we disable our main timer, and main timer is enabled equals false, and then we check sound notification. So if checkbox sound is enabled equals true, we just play sound, and we'll need to specify timer type. We'll change our method later, timer type main, because we'll have a different sound for the main timer and a different sound for the subtimer. Then we check if checkbox subtimer is checked, is false. So if we do not want the subtimer, we set button start pause content to start, and we set button stop dot visibility to visibility hidden, and we enable buttons, and we restore time values. And then we check if our window was minimized. So if my window state double equals window state minimized, I will create a method later called show window, and then we activate it. So activate. Else, if we did check this checkbox, we set m is subtimer in process to true. Then we fill primitives with timer type dot sub, and we set m time left to new time span, m hours, m minutes, and m seconds. And we enable the subtimer, so m subtimer is enabled equals true. Okay, so else, if that condition was not true, we set m time left equal to m time left dot subtract the method built in new time span 0, 0, 1 and put a semicolon here. So if our seconds were less than 0 and everything else was 0, we disabled or enabled things. But if that wasn't the case, we just need to subtract another second. So numeric hours value equals int m time left total hours. Duplicate it 2 times. So numeric minutes, copy it and paste it here, and numeric seconds. Copy it and paste it here. And respectively, we'll need to change or completely change the m subtimer tick event. So again, wipe it out. So it will be very similar. I guess we can even try to copy it. So copy this, collapse it, paste it here, disable the subtimer and set m is subtimer in process to false. Then we check if checkbox sound is enabled. Oh, and in addition to checking if it is enabled, we need to check if it is checked. So is enabled is whether we are allowed to use sound notifications due to the license. But is checked property is whether we actually want to use it when we have the right to do it. So a main timer tick here, and checkbox sound is checked equals true. We can copy it. So here, and instead of main we place sub. We no longer need to check if subtimer was checked, so let's just try to remove it. So button start post content equals start. So this was if we had everything 0. So here, else we here we'll add the word sub here, and we can use hours here. Okay, so we can collapse this region. Then we'll create another region for enabling and disabling buttons. So enabling and disabling buttons. And region we'll put inside these 2 methods. And we'll change them like this. Instead of TB, we'll use numeric. And here and here, and we'll also need sub hours, and we'll make it in 1 line as well. Here, here, like this. And in disabling buttons, we'll do all the same, but change true to false and false to true. So false, true. Okay, collapse it. Then button preset click. Change it from this to actually a lot of things. So we'll operate with the first 2 characters. So string num, it will store these 2 characters. Then button equals sender as button. And now tag equals button dot tag dot to string, and object content equals button content. And as you remember, we put text blocks inside of our buttons as their content. So potential text block set as buttons content. So text block named tblc equals content as text block, and we will check if buttons content is not a text block, so it's for all 0 preset only. So if tblc is null, we get first 2 characters from content. So num equals new string, and we take it from content dot to string, and we take press Ctrl dot include link. We take the first 2 and convert it to array. Okay, else, so if buttons content, let's copy this, is a text block, so for all other presets, so else we first get a collection of runs inside a text block. So inline collection, press Ctrl dot and hit enter. I'll call it incall equals tblc dot inlines, and then we get the first run. So inline equals incall first inline, and then we get text of the first run. So string text equals new text range from inline content start to inline content end, and then we access its text property. And after this we can get first 2 characters from text. So num equals new string, and here text dot take 2 dot to array. Okay, and then after we got the first 2 characters, we can start parsing. So parse first 2 characters as digits. So int val equals int parse num, and then we parse tag as format. So we won't use these, instead we'll create another parsing formats. So if tag equals all, we set numeric hours value to numeric minutes value to numeric seconds value, and set it all to 0. That easy. Else, if tag equals seconds, we set numeric seconds value to val. Else, if tag equals minutes, we set numeric minutes value to val. And finally, else if tag equals hours, we set numeric hours value to val. Then, we also used one of our old formats, specifically the one with the plus. So let's move it up to here. And instead of TB, we should use now numeric. And we can remove our old tag formats. Like this. So we are done with preset parsing, and now it's time to create our show window method. So private void show window, and the code will be the same as here, and here we'll just call this message, so show window. Okay, we have a not white space here, and we also removed this icon. Instead we imported another one called notify icon 16. So here, okay, we can collapse it. Now let's fix this method. Numeric, copy and paste, and instead of text we'll use value. And so we no longer need to use toString methods. And here numeric sub hours and before launch hours. Actually before launch sub hours. Okay, then below let's create another region called validation and region, and here we'll put input number validation and only on preview key down. And let's remove the necessary specifications, and let's tidy this method up as well. Okay, after this region, we no longer need this method because it worked only for text boxes, and we also need another region for sound notification. So sound notification, we'll put this method inside. It will accept a timer type, so timer type, and here we will check the timer type. So if timer type equals timer type dot main, then we do this. Else, so if we have a subtimer, let's copy this and type here the word sub, actually lowercase, here, 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 and here. Okay, so let's create a sub-region here for sounds. And here we'll put our different play methods. So play console beeps, play beeps, and so on. Cut it. And put it here. And here let's make our sound a bit faster. So let's remove this pause. And that's it. So after sound notification, we will create a region for language. So language. And here we'll put button direct language, button English, and button German. So, here. After it, we'll go our button for custom presets. Click, and here, first of all, we change opacity to dark opacity. Then we create a new window. So window edit custom preset, call win, equals new window edit custom preset, and here we pass the timer type. So let it be timer type dot main, and we'll set owner to this, and we'll hide it in taskbar. So set show in taskbar to false. Put semicolon here, and then we show our window. So window show dialog. Then set opacity to 1, and again show it in taskbar. Okay, and where is our button custom subtimer click? I guess we have to generate it first. So here, press F12 and move this method from here to here. So again, just copy this and paste it here, and instead of main, type sub, and that's it. Then goes our about click, and then will be our button register click. So here again we change opacity to dark opacity. We create window by, we set owner to this, and set show in taskbar to false, and show this window. So show dialog, and again restore opacity and set show in taskbar back to true. And finally, after we close our window, our program, we set our settings. So settings.default, and here detect language on start. We set it to radio. Let's check if it is detect language and start. Detect language and start, yeah. We set it to radio radio underscore detect language is checked. Okay, and then default language index, we set it to combo language dot selected index. After this, we save our settings dot default dot save, and then we finally shut down our application. So application dot current dot shutdown. Okay, so I guess now we can check our application. So run it. Oh, I guess I mistyped it. So here, default language and start. Let's check it. Properties. Oh, it's actually detect language and start. So here is our license window. If we click here, we'll go to a website. If we click register, our key is not registered. Well, we'll need a key to test all our functions. So keys and hashes, and let's use this key. So register successful. So presets: minutes, seconds, hours, all 0, okay, and 0 minutes and 0 hours, okay, and custom preset, for example here 615, okay, then subtimer presets, okay, and custom, like for example 5, 6, 7, okay, turn off, language German and English, okay, detect language, or set it, let's set it to German, and close, and start again. SAC is German, back to English. So our about window, our different sounds, for example 1 and 2, let's hear them both. Okay, now let's set it to 5 seconds and this one to 10, and try to start and hide it. Actually 6, no, okay. Oh, another. So what's here? Resources. Oh, it's not in resources, it's in IMG. So IMG. Let's check it again. I'll set both to 4 seconds. Oh, here. So 4 and 4. Start. And here is our window. So it doesn't show up if the subtimer hasn't finished yet. And let's check if it's shown correctly in tray. So it's not in the taskbar anymore. And here it is, our new icon. So I hope it was useful for you, at least a little bit. If so, please consider subscribing. And see you in other tutorials.